Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were there. I guess since you're here and all these comic books are in front of me, I guess it means it's time for another Minutia Minute. Sorry, I was busy playing Batman Arkham City there. What can I say? I can't put it down. So anyway, as promised, this is episode 6 of Minutia Minute. I'm your host Beardo, and we are going to be doing the DC Awards ceremony for the new 52. This is actually going to be a 3-part episode that will roll out over the next couple of days. The first episode is going to be Best Of, second episode is going to be Worst Of, and third episode is going to be what I'm going to be getting moving forward. And I'm doing that last part just so that you can kind of see what I'll be picking up, and I'll be able to share that with you on kind of a regular basis so I can kind of join the current conversation, so you guys can see what I'm picking up, because I love seeing what you guys are picking up. Maybe hopefully give you guys some thoughts on what you might want to pick up yourselves. It will in no way prevent us from looking at old stuff that I want to talk about, but I would like to be able to talk about some of the stuff I'm getting now, because there's a lot of really, really great, really exciting stuff. So, without further ado, let's get started. This is the Best Of ceremony, and we'll get started right away. First of all, I think it's important to note that I am banning 2 titles from the new 52 awards ceremony. So it's actually only going to be with 50 titles. The reason I'm doing that is because these 2 titles are really not new 52 titles at all. The #1 banned comic book is Green Lantern. This book totally rocks. Is it a new 52 book? No. It is just a continuation of the Green Lantern storyline. If you didn't know what was going on before, you'll figure it out, but you'll be annoyed and have to go back and get volume 4 or whatever it is. Jeff Johns' first run on Green Lantern. So, that one's banned. The other one that's banned, and this one is borderline. I decided to ban it anyway because it's such a good book that it would win all of my categories, pretty much. However, it is also not really a new 52 book, because it's a book that was supposed to come out forever ago and never did, and then they kept holding it back to the point where it's like, well, we'll just put it on with the new 52. And honestly, as awesome as the book is, I think you can kind of tell that, and you think about, you know, what was happening when the comic book was supposed to come out, and you think, you know, this really fits into that, you know, that time period in the character's history, you know, if it wasn't a new 52 book anyway. So that's why I decided to ban it. It is Batwoman #1, banned. This is another one. I mean, both these books that I'm banning are phenomenal. They're not banned because they're crap. They're banned because they're too good, for one, and for another, they're just not really new 52 books. Let's not kid ourselves. It should really be the new 50, and then let these books just do their own thing and be separate. Okay, so there are a total of 9 categories that we're going to be judging today. The #9 one is, the first one we're going to do is Best Layouts, and it's actually one that I banned. Batwoman is just too good to not give something, so it's going to get layouts. Because the layouts on this book are just phenomenal. They're completely original. You haven't seen anything like this in a long time, unless you read Batwoman Elegy, which is by the same people. But, I mean, it's just got phenomenal art and everything, and the layouts really, I mean, they really add a lot to this comic book. Just the whole feel of the book is changed by the complexity of the layouts in this book. I'm not going to show you any because I want you to go buy the book and find out for yourself. Okay. So, from here forward, my banned books are actually banned. The next thing we're going to be judging is Best Cliffhanger. Now, this is one of those that can kind of go a couple of different ways. Cliffhangers can sometimes have that wow factor. So, for example, Batman Detective Comics, you know, at the end, I'm going to spoil it, it's been out for a month now, you see Joker's face hanging on a wall. Grisly cover, shocking, or not cover, cliffhanger, Really, really shocking, really, really frightening. Um, in a sense, it's a good cliffhanger, but my preference is more towards the cliffhangers that sort of keep giving you something. So the cliffhanger that won it is one that, first of all, just stuck in my head. Like, it's really, there were only a couple titles. I mean, there were a lot of good cliffhangers, but there were only a couple that was just, have been in my head ever since I read them. This is one of those. That's one of the criteria. And the other criteria is that it's a cliffhanger that doesn't just want you to read the next episode or the next issue. It wants you to read the next 6 issues. It's one of those cliffhangers that really sets yourself up for a lot of great issues to come, and maybe even picking up some other titles related to that title, because the cliffhanger will play out in those as well. And really no comic book did a better job of this than Scott Snyder's Batman issue 1. The ending, I'm going to spoil it again because it's been out for a little while, in which you find out that the killer he's looking for is Dick Grayson. Really just, makes you want to read the next issue immediately. It maybe get into the Nightwing title, which is also kind of sort of following a similar plot line, although it's kind of veered off, so we'll see. I don't know what direction it's headed now. But either way, I mean, the way Scott Snyder writes, I mean, this could be, a major addition to continuity depending on which direction he takes it. So, great ending, great cliffhanger, and that gets best cliffhanger. Okay, so number 3, best cover art. This one, I mean, there's a lot of amazing covers. I went with one that, like with the cliffhanger, it just sticks with you. This is a cover that I haven't gotten out of my head since I saw it in previews back when they first were advertising the New 52. And that is, drumroll, Animal Man. Just look at the cover on there and tell me you disagree. I mean, it's grisly, and the colors are so vivid that it just really shocks you. But it's also so bizarre that, it's not, it doesn't upset your stomach. It just really, it's twisted and strange in sort of a Tim Burton almost kind of way, except a little grislier. Anyway, really, really great cover. That's the best cover of the DCnU 52, in my opinion. Okay, number 4, best interior art. This one, I'm just going to give a whole bunch of shout-outs because there were a lot of amazing, amazing artists that worked on the New 52, and I had to pick one, which was really hard. So, of the artists that really impressed me, there will be one, but some of the other ones that really deserve a shout-out, Ivan Reis, Aquaman, amazing artwork. All-Star Western, Action Comics, Rags Morales did an amazing job. Demon Knights has some fantastic artwork. Surprisingly, Captain Atom, even though it was kind of cartoony, I liked the way they rendered Captain Atom himself. So that's definitely a runner-up. Can't say Batwoman, but it's implied. I was surprised at how good the artwork was in Detective Comics, because Tony Daniel he's kind of a Rob Liefeld for me, just based on some of his other Batman work. So, anyway, but it was really good. The Detective Comics artwork I thought was very good. The Flash had phenomenal artwork. Frankenstein, Green Lantern, which is not in the running, but nevertheless, Men of War, Justice League Dark had phenomenal artwork. Justice League, Jim Lee, you can't go wrong. OMAC would never win because it's kind of a Jack Kirby ripoff, but nevertheless, really, really entertaining, good artwork. Let's see, and Wonder Woman had phenomenal artwork. Cliff Chang did a really, really good job. Voodoo had fantastic artwork. Swamp Thing, Yannick Paquette really outdid himself on this one. I wasn't really a fan of his work on Batman Incorporated, but for some reason Swamp Thing, he just stepped up his game. It looks really, really good. And that's about it. Just, like 20 titles. Red Hood and the Outlaws had phenomenal artwork too. Whatever you say about that comic book, if you don't like it for the various reasons that people are having problems with it, you can't deny the artwork's phenomenal, and not just for the cheesecake value. If you take the cheesecake out, it's still got a really great graham cracker crust that you could just eat plain. Anyway, so of all those titles, none of them made it. I am going to select a title that, in my opinion, takes the next step up. Now, this is one that's probably going to make people squirm. It's kind of a controversial title, and people are going to think, he doesn't have very good taste in art if that's his favorite one. The reason I'm picking it is not for the cheesecake in the book. I'm picking it because I felt like the facial expressions are just so well realized. Like, you really can see, I mean, it's almost photoreal in a cartoony sense, because you know exactly, like, kind of what's going through their head. You have a really, really good sense of the characters' selves, and you feel like they really all have very specific characters and expressions of that character through the artwork. So for that reason, the artwork is just phenomenal. Yes, it's cheesecake, but it's still just amazing. Gullum March's Catwoman is the best artwork out of the DCnU 52. I know a lot of people probably disagree with me on that, but it's just too amazing. The cover, not so much, but I mean, inside, again, just look at the facial expressions and the way light plays off of everything. It just looks amazing, and I really, really recommend it just for the artwork, even if you disagree with sort of the feminism issues that are in this book. And, you know, even though the cover is kind of obnoxious, I kind of like it because it kind of reminds me of Mobius. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but anyway. Best artwork is Catwoman. Okay, best writer. This was a really, really tough one. There was a fair amount of good writing, not as many as good artists in my opinion, but there were a couple that really stood out. Two of my favorite titles, all in all, are Animal Man and Swamp Thing, and they go together so well. I'm going to give Best Writer to Scott Snyder. Now, of these two books, I think Animal Man is definitely the better book, but Scott Snyder's got Swamp Thing, and he's got Batman in his court. And because I'm such a Batman fan, that just slightly outweighs Jeff Lemire, who has Frankenstein and Animal Man. I mean, it's virtually a tie, but I have to give it to Scott Snyder because he's just my favorite writer right now, and I can't help myself. So, if you disagree with me and think it should go Jeff Lemire, I really can't argue with you. They're both phenomenal, so check all of them out. Alright. Best Revamp. There wasn't a whole lot really that revamped with the DCnU 52, other than Superman, Aquaman, Firestorm. But I mean, a lot of them, you know, they're kind of playing with the status quo, but they're not really full-on revamps. Of all the revamps, the one that really deserves the most credit, in my opinion, is not Superman. It's actually Aquaman. I just really got a kick out of this book. I just read it tonight. It's the last book that I read out of the DCnU 52, just by coincidence. What Jeff Johns does with this character is just so entertaining. He just makes him a great underdog, but at the same time, it's still very funny. You know, it's not too, you know, yo Adrian. It's, you know, it's very tongue-in-cheek, very loving. I never thought I would enjoy reading an Aquaman comic, honestly. I mean, I enjoy the idea of the character more than I think some of my peers do, but I just never really expected to read it. But I'm excited as hell to collect this book. So, great job, Jeff Johns. Runner-up on that is definitely Superman, I guess. I mean, I really like where Grant Morrison has taken the character, but the thing is, it's not consistent. Superman has a lot of different voices in these books. Some are more dark and brooding than others, and anyway, that's why it really can't get Best Revamp. It's kind of cheating because Aquaman really only has one title, whereas Superman has, you know, a few. But nevertheless, Aquaman is, in my opinion, the best revamp of the DCnU 52. Okay, so number 7, the best number 1. Now, this is not the best comic book. This is really just the best the best number one? What comic book sets you up better than any of the other titles if you've never read it before? This is a tricky one because I've read a lot of these, or these characters. I narrowed it down to two. For a long time it was really only one, but one of the titles I read today bumped it up a notch, and really it's very, very close. The two that are competing are Wonder Woman and All-Star Western. Now, the reason these two are competing is because these guys really did it the smart way, which is you have sort of an ordinary character, like in Wonder Woman. People complain that, you know, there wasn't much Wonder Woman, and like issue 2 would have been a better first issue because you really get to understand, you know, you get to follow Wonder Woman and kind of get a sense of her powers and stuff. But the thing that's great about this book is, since it's told from the perspective of an outsider, you really have someone you can relate to more, because Wonder Woman hasn't always been the most relatable character for me, and at the same time you get slowly introduced into her world, which is a really, really big, complex world, and is going to only be more so with Brian Azzarello writing it. So I think having sort of that outside character to bring us all in really, really made this an excellent number one title, and really made it step up to another level. This is another title I'm actually really excited to collect for a little while. Wonder Woman's always disappointed me, so I hope this one doesn't, but I'm really enjoying it. It kind of reminds me of Mage, actually, just sort of, instead of like sort of medieval myths in modern day society, it's Greek myths in modern day society. So if you like Mage, you might like this, and if you don't know what Mage is, check out episode 2 of MINUTIA Minute. Anyway, All-Star Western does the same thing, except that this one has the added bonus of, since it's in Gotham, Amadeus Arkham is sort of our voice into who Jonah Hex is. That was just too slick of a move, you know. He's not, obviously Amadeus Arkham isn't necessarily a normal, relatable guy in the strict sense that like Wonder Woman has that character, but at the same time you know where Arkham is coming from, and the point is that he's teaching us about Jonah Hex in a really interesting way. So I'm going to give it to All-Star Western. This is the one. It's really, really hard. Wonder Woman was on top for a long time, but I just read this tonight, and it just blew my mind. So we're giving it to All-Star Western. This is another one where if you're picking between the two and you said Wonder Woman, I really couldn't argue, but I'm going to go with All-Star Western. Okay. So we've done the best number one. Next we are going to do the best category. Now DC has put everything into 6 or 7 different groups. There's the Justice League group, which has got Justice League International, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Captain Atom, Fury of Firestorm, Green Arrow. Basically all the superheroes that don't have more than one book are in Justice League. Then there is Batman, which is all the Batman-related titles. Superman, which is all the Superman-related titles. Green Lantern, ditto. Then there's the Dark, which is sort of like the horror books. Those include Justice League Dark, Swamp Thing, Animal Man, Frankenstein, Resurrection Man, I, Vampire, and Demon Knights. The Edge, which is less defined, but it's basically sort of Wildstorm plus. That one is Stormwatch, Grifter, Voodoo, all of which are Wildstorm. And then you have Suicide Squad, Deathstroke, OMAC, All-Star Western, Blackhawks, Men of War. So basically it's a lot of stuff that didn't fit anywhere else. So it's edgy, I guess. And then Young Justice, which is all the teen books. Of all the categories, the one that wins it really hands down, no competition whatsoever, no runners-up for this one, it's the Dark. You've got Animal Man, probably the single best number one. If I had to pick like my favorite book out of all of them, it's impossible, but Animal Man's definitely up there. Swamp Thing, which is another really, really surprisingly good title. If you're a diehard for Alan Moore, just give it a chance and just let it breathe, let it be its own thing. It's good. Justice League Dark is definitely my favorite team book. Frankenstein is good, not quite as good as Justice League Dark, but it's still very entertaining. Vampire, I'm not going to read, but it was good. Demon Knights is my other favorite. It's, you know, sort of medieval Justice League. Fantastic book. I really recommend that one. And then finally Resurrection Man, which I could kind of take or leave, but was decent. So, I mean, there's not a weak link really in all those books. They're all worth reading. I'm going to be getting a lot of them. When we get to part 3, you'll see just how many of these I'm going to be definitely picking up. So, one of the things that makes Dark great as well is, you know, you really get to incorporate the magic aspect of DC. And DC tried to really bring back magic in a big way with Infinite Crisis. They were talking about, if I remember right, you know, there was sort of the metahumans, and then there was this sort of whole magic sect. And Captain Marvel was a big part of it. But it was just sort of superheroes only with magic. I felt like it didn't really stand on its own as much, whereas bringing it into sort of a more horror book aspect really elevates the magic to sort of more, you know, magic's roots in terms of sort of how you think of it in popular culture, and really gives all of the magic books a different flavor than what they did back in 2006. And I think that it really was a phenomenal editorial decision. So long story short, that's the best category. Now, I'm not doing a single #1 all favorite best of book. What I am going to do is best in categories. So this is our last set of awards, and there's actually a few different ones. Basically best in category as in the way DC divides them up. So in the Justice League category, Aquaman was really my favorite. There are a lot of runners-up. Wonder Woman is an incredibly close second. The Flash is less close of a second, but it's like if you rate them, they're like, you know, in this order from top to bottom. These are just fantastic books. I recommend all of them. But the #1 best one, we're going to say Aquaman. Or Wonder Woman, right? Aquaman. Okay. Of the Batman titles, there are a lot of decent ones, but there's really no competition. Scott Snyder's Batman knocks it out of the park. If you're not reading this, go read it. If you don't like Batman, go read it, because it's good. Superman. Of the Superman titles, Action Comics, I mean, not surprisingly, I feel lame kind of picking this one, but I mean, it really is the best out of all the titles. I'm going to give a close runner-up actually to Supergirl, though. A lot of people kind of complain about this title and say, you know, oh, she's confused, so she's beating up on people, kind of, you know, she's lost and dazed and confused, kind of, and, you know, out of her element. And they're really dwelling on that, and they have for the last 2 issues. I have read issue 2 of this one, and I don't disagree, but I think you're just being a little too harsh on it. I mean, I thought it was well done for what it was, for one thing, and also, it's not like her trying to settle into the new world. She's trying to come to grips with the fact that she's been asleep for years, at least years on our world, so, you know, it's kind of like when Ripley wakes up in Aliens and it's been 57 years, you know, it's kind of like this with her, except, you know, it hasn't been as long, and, you know, all of a sudden her kid nephew is an adult. I mean, it's just so jarring, and I believed it. I got into it. So, anyway, I recommend this. Even if there's some haters out there, give it a shot. You might like it. Okay, so Green Lantern. I'm going to unbanish it for this because there really wasn't a better title. Of all the Green Lantern titles, this is really the only one I'm going to pick up. I enjoyed almost all of them except for Red Lanterns, but this is the only one you really need to read, in my opinion, and it really is the best one. Having Sinestro as a Green Lantern is just a blast, and having Hal Jordan trying to figure out how he's going to make ends meet, it's priceless. Of the Dark, okay, this was the best category, and so this is going to have the most runners-up. Animal Man is the single best book of the Dark, probably one of the single best issues altogether of all of the 52. This one really is pretty much the best one. However, shoutouts have to go to Swamp Thing, Demon Knights, and Justice League Dark. Those books are all phenomenal, and you should be reading them all. The Edge, hands down, no competition, all-star Western. There were some other good ones. Men of War was good, Voodoo was good, but All-Star Western is really a blast, and it's $3.99, but you get your money's worth out of this one. Young Justice. Okay, Young Justice was Teen Titans, Hawk and Dove, Legion Lost, Static Shock, Blue Beetle, and Legion of Superheroes. I did not like any of these titles, but if I had to pick a best one, I would probably say Teen Titans. Now, I really like Scott Lobdell on Red Hood and the Outlaws. I didn't read Teen Titans until today, and I was really expecting a lot from it. Maybe that's why, but it just didn't ring true to me. I mean, it has a similar feel to Red Hood and the Outlaws in some sense, except that it's just kind of piecemeal. Everything's kind of all over the place, and it just didn't feel like a full issue, whereas Red Hood and the Outlaws did. So this was the best one, but I mean, it was out of a list of some really crap ones. Okay, so if you're not picking up any of the Young Justice titles, I wouldn't hold it against you. So that concludes our first ever DCnU award ceremony. That was the best of. Very specific shout-outs to Animal Man, Swamp Thing, Batman, All-Star Western, Action Comics, Aquaman, The Flash, and Wonder Woman. And, you know, this one didn't really make it into any of my best ofs, but OMAC was a blast. You should go check this book out, because I know it's one of the underperforming ones, but it's a lot of fun. I will say that the top 3 titles I wouldn't have been picking up, but I'm now going to be picking up because of this DCnU 52, probably would be OMAC, Wonder Woman, and actually Demon Knights. This one was not being published before, and neither was OMAC, but you know, the whole point of the DCnU 52 is to get people to pick up some new stuff and, you know, get that little extra bucks. So if nothing else, they are going to be getting $9 more a month from me, because I'm not ready to let these titles go. They're all really fantastic. So way to go, DC. You tricked me into spending more money. Anyway, so that concludes the award ceremony. For our minutia morsel, I am gonna, you know, I said there's gonna be 3 parts to this. We're gonna have 4 parts. Part 1 is the awards, part 2 is the bad awards, part 3 is what I'm picking up, and then part 4 is gonna be the minutia morsel. It'll be a little bit longer one, since obviously it's gonna be a minutia morsel for all 3 of the previous videos. But we'll go ahead and do that separate, because I have no idea how long I've been talking, but I suspect it's been a really long time. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching till the end. Be sure to like this video and comments and all that stuff, and I will be back with DC's not so hot 52 titles coming up.